So I want you to just picture this. It's the day after Eid al-Adha in 2018. All across Egypt, there's this feeling of celebration. It's a huge holiday, families are together, kids are playing. But in this one city, Faraskur, right down by the water, that joy is about to be just completely shattered. A local fisherman is on the Nile, just going about his day, and he sees something floating beneath the Faraskur bridge. It's the bodies of two little boys. They're quickly identified. It's Rayan and Mohamed, two brothers who were reported missing just a few hours before.
And that missing persons report, it came from their own father, Mahmoud Nazmi.
Yeah.
He filed it in a different governorate, Dakalia, with this very specific, very tragic story of a kidnapping. So when the bodies turned up so far away, so quickly, well, the investigation immediately zeroed in on him. The question wasn't just who did this, but how does the grieving father's story fit in, or, not fit?
Exactly. So today our mission is to unpack that lie. We're going to follow the evidence, the digital breadcrumbs, and figure out how a family holiday outing turned into one of the most devastating tragedies imaginable. Okay, let's get into this. Mahmoud Nazmi's first story, the one he gave the police, was incredibly detailed. He said he took the boys, Rayan and Mohamed, out for the holiday. They were in their new Eid clothes, and he was taking them to an amusement park. And while they're at this park, this is the key moment, he says he's approached by a man, a total stranger. But this man insists they were friends back in primary school. Mahmoud doesn't recognize him at all, but the guy just grabs him in an embrace and starts talking and talking. A really prolonged distraction.
And that distraction is the whole hinge of the story, isn't it? He claims that when he finally gets away from this guy and looks back for his sons, they're just gone. And of course, the supposed friend has also vanished.
Right. And to make it even more convincing, he said he had witnesses. He claimed that other people at the park told him they saw the boys walking away with a veiled woman, that she put them in a tuk-tuk, one of those little three-wheeled taxis, and just sped off toward the Alexandria Road.
So the whole community just explodes. Mahmoud calls his wife, tells her the boys have been kidnapped. And this huge search starts. Family, neighbors, everyone is out looking for them. He plays the part of the frantic father perfectly.
But this whole first act, it just collapses a few hours later. Because the search is happening on the Alexandria Road, but the bodies, they're found over 100 kilometers away, floating under that bridge in Faraskur. Sources say when Mahmoud identified them at the morgue, he just completely broke down. He was inconsolable.
Which, for a time, really cemented his role as the victim. The focus then goes straight to forensics, and the autopsy was critical. It confirmed the cause of death was drowning.
Yeah.
Purely drowning. There were no marks of assault, no injuries at all. So that tells you how they died, but it doesn't tell you who put them in the water. It kept his story alive for a little while.
The funeral was enormous. The whole community was grieving, and Mahmoud was right at the center of it, playing the part of the heartbroken father. But then he does something that cracks the whole case wide open. As soon as the main mourning period is over, he's gone. He disappears. And he leaves this really dramatic note for his wife. He says he's not coming back until he's avenged his sons or died trying.
And for investigators, that was it. That was the turning point. I mean, his timeline was already shaky, but a supposedly innocent father doesn't just run. Why would you? He was an immediate massive red flag, as they made the decision to track his every single move on that day.
And that's when the physical evidence starts to just shred his story to pieces. They pull the CCTV footage from the roads, and they find him. They find his car, and it's just chilling. He's driving on the road toward Faraskur, and in the backseat, you can clearly see Rayan and Mohamed. They're happy. They're waving out the window. It's a definitive proof he never went to the amusement park. He drove them straight to the river.
The CCTV was damning, but the electronic trail from his phone, that was basically the confession. Investigators tracked his phone line, and they discovered that the frantic call he made to his wife, the one where he reported the kidnapping from the park, it actually came from Faraskur.
Wait, from Faraskur? As in from the bridge?
From the exact area of the bridge. Think about that. He's claiming to be at a park an hour's drive away.
Yeah.
But his phone pings from the very spot where his son's bodies would be found. And the call was made right around the estimated time of their death. He wasn't searching. He was calling in his alibi from the crime scene.
Wow. So that's not just a lie. That's a cold, calculated performance. He's creating a false trail while he's standing right there.
Precisely. It made his story geographically impossible. So the police track him down. They find him hiding at a relative's house. And when they arrest him, they find a large amount of drugs on him. Tramadol, Strox, hashish.
And then they found the one thing that changed it from a kidnapping case to filicide. The killing of one's own children.
That's right, they found a letter, a handwritten letter to his wife. In it, he begs for her forgiveness and admits that he was the one who killed their sons. Handwriting analysis confirmed it was his. And yet, even with all of that, when he's arrested, he denies everything.
She just immediately starts spinning a new story.
To understand why, you really have to look at who he was. Mahmoud was 32. He wasn't struggling for money. He had inherited about $1.5 million. But he had a severe drug addiction. His wife was constantly fighting with him about it, about the money he was wasting. She was terrified the boys would see their father like that. His own family had even tried to get him committed to a psychiatric facility, but he always refused to go.
And that background is what fueled his next lie, right? The
Right.
one the sources call the artifacts lie.
Exactly. Suddenly, his story changes. Now, it's about a bad business deal with an antiquity smuggler. He claimed this smuggler had him kidnapped and killed the boys for revenge. And the confession letter, he said the gang forced him to write it.
But that fell apart pretty quickly, too, I'm guessing.
Immediately. First, they'd already proven he never went to the park. Second, the blood analysis was key. The amount of drugs in his system, especially tramadol, it's known to cause severe psychosis. The investigators argued this wasn't a revenge plot. It was a drug-induced loss of control. And witnesses, his own relatives, confirmed it. They said he was an addict who saw his own children as a major problem.
So he wasn't being chased by some shadowy gang. He was being consumed by his own addiction.
Absolutely. His wife even told police she believed he killed them as revenge against her for all their fights about his drug use. After the artifacts lie failed, he even tried to blame a female acquaintance. It was just a constant stream of desperation.
So investigators had to just ignore him and focus on the hard evidence and on that confession letter. And that final confession, it matched everything. And it laid out a level of premeditation that is just terrifying. His motive was this really twisted mix of self-pity and what he called love. He said the drugs and losing all his money had driven him over the edge. And he decided to kill his children to relieve them of this difficult world.
Wow.
So they wouldn't have to grow up and see their father as an addict. He admitted he'd been planning it for a while.
And his actions on that day were just so methodical. He visited relatives, he bought the boys new toys, all part of the act. He told his wife he was taking them to the amusement park, the film he'd created to cover his tracks. And he took a large dose of drugs before he left, telling police he needed it to focus.
It all ends at the Faraskur bridge. He stops the car, tells the boys they're getting out to take pictures. He looks around, no witnesses nearby. And then he walks over to Rayan and he says to him, "Goodbye, my love, I will take you to heaven." And then he throws him over the railing into the Nile. And then he turns to Mohammad, says the exact same words, and throws him in right after his brother.
One of the strangest, most chilling details from the interrogation, they asked him why the boys didn't scream, why they didn't cry out for help. And Mahmoud just said they were strangely quiet. They made no sound at all.
And his reason for choosing drowning, he said it was the only way he could do it. He couldn't use a weapon, couldn't use his hands. In his twisted logic, he saw drowning as the method with the least pain.
After that confession and a full reenactment of the crime at the bridge, Mahmoud Nazmi was prosecuted. He was executed in February 2023.
So what does this all mean? Well, here's the final unsettling piece of this. Despite the confession, the CCTV, the phone data, all of it, Mahmoud's relatives still deny he did it. They insist he loved his children too much and that he only confessed so he could be executed and join them in death.
It's just a tragic, stark example of how addiction and profound irresponsibility can destroy everything. Not just a life, but the most fundamental bond there is, that of a parent and child. The investigation painted a picture of a man so consumed by his own self-destruction that his children became, in his mind, just an obstacle.
And that denial from the family, it leaves us with a final question for you to think about. When the truth of a crime is proven by cold, hard evidence, what is it that compels a family to reject that reality? To choose a comforting lie over an unbearable truth about someone they loved? Something to think about long after this deep dive is over.